For today's discussion on properties of light, we're going to talk about the difference between a high key and a low key picture. This is called tone when we're talking about properties of light. So just to review for a second, the three properties of light that we've talked about is we've talked about quality, which is hard or soft, direct or indirect. We've talked about direction, where the relationship of the camera, the subject, and the light is. So we have side light, top light, front light, back light, three-quarter light, and under light. And today, we're going to talk about tone. Tone refers to the overall value of a scene. So you can think about three types of tones. We have a continuous tone image, which we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing images that have a wide range of tones, from the darkest dark to the lightest light and everything in between. But there are other ways that you can shoot to limit the amount of tones in the image to create mood and creative effects. So low key is the tone which favors darks. And what that means is that most of the image is dark, if not completely black. And there's very limited tones that push towards the gray and maybe light gray. This creates this very dramatic, moody feel. On the opposite side, we have high key. High key favors brights and lights. So it's light objects on light backgrounds that are overexposed. There's lots of white in the scene, and everything seems clean. It seems bright. It seems crisp and vibrant and energetic, and it has a totally different feel than low key. So what you're going to need today to do this experiment is you're going to need your object that you've been using this week, but you're going to need something dark, okay? A dark sheet, a dark piece of board, a dark piece of paper, something that you can, instead of putting your object onto light things, you are now putting it against dark things. You're going to need your direct light source for this. And you'll also need a light backdrop, because we're going to do a high key picture where everything is bright and light. Then we're going to do a low key picture where everything is dark. So starting with high key in this example, I'm going to go to the camera app in Lightroom Mobile, and I'm going to get rid of my dark background and leave everything light and white. Now you'll notice that I have more lights on in this room and in this scene because what I'm trying to achieve is a very bright scene. I'm not quite happy with everything because my background just has too much going on. So I am going to try to grab another light board and put it behind. Now you guys can solve this problem by just simply finding a light background, a white wall, something that is maybe has a color to it but is still pretty bright. This is going to help you to create the effect that you want. So I'm going to position my light in a way where it lights up most of this scene. Now I'm going to probably have to do some cropping for this photo, but that's okay. Now, with high key and low key, you are going to have to use the exposure slider. If you notice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to brighten the image by dragging that exposure slider up. I'm going to then take the picture, and now I have an image that you can see. If I crop it, you can clearly see that most of the image is favoring lighter tones. Now I'm going to have to get moody if I want to create a low key picture. So I'm going to switch out my backgrounds. I'm going to make sure that I have a dark background here for my subject. I'm going to position the subject in a way where it makes sense. Okay, again, I want the subject close to the camera. I want to explore that. And now if I go and shut the lights off in my room, give me a second. So now that I've shut or turned the So now that I've shut the lights off in the room, you can see that my background really goes dark. What I'm going to need to do right now is position my camera and my surface, my board, in a way where I don't really see a lot of light. I want to try to create a situation where most of the scene is dark. I might have to angle my camera down a little bit. I'm going to try to find interesting light here, and my goal is to get a scene where most of the picture, most of the image is dark. So now I'm going to play with my light. I want to find an interesting light pattern here. I kind of like where the lamp is a little bit behind my subject. This seems very interesting to me. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is hit the exposure button, and I'm going to drag that slider opposite now. So I'm going to drag this slider down to favor the lower end of the tone scale, and I'm going to go ahead and take that picture. Now this is a low key picture. Most of the tones in the image are dark. You can see it has this very dramatic, moody feel to it. You can play with other things. You can bounce some light back in with a bounce board if you want to define. So this is a board right now, and as you can see, is if I just grab this, I can add a little bit of definition to the back end of that bottle that was maybe missing before. But for the most part, the scene is really dark. It's very much favoring the lower end of the tone scale, and it's very moody and dramatic.